Hi, in this video I'm going to explain what I did as far as modifications to this control line plane in order to fly it from outside the circle with a radio controlled transmitter. The plane is a SIG Twister. It's been modified per a set of plans drawn up by a guy by the name of Ted Francher. I think anybody in control line is probably familiar with that name, and he called it a Francherized Twister. This plane is basically as he designed, with a couple of small modifications that would allow me to fly it with radio control from outside the circle. First modification is the control horn inside the wing has been removed, and it's been replaced with this servo right here. This is just a very small, lightweight, coreless digital servo. I believe that servo weighs 0.6 ounces. The rest of the control linkage is the same as any other control line plane. I did use these carbon fiber and titanium push rods that I like using on my RC planes. They're extremely rigid, don't have any flex at all, so no bracing is required. The lead out from the servo comes out the bottom of the wing, as you can see right here, and hooks into the receiver, which is mounted as you see. Basically any RC receiver will work. This receiver weighs 0.4 of an ounce, so between those two items there's slightly more than 1 ounce. To balance that out, for an electric plane, there's no timer required to control the ESC, which is on this side, so you don't carry that weight, and obviously there's no control horn as well. So there's a slight weight savings from those two items. This is probably still slightly heavier than control line, although another thing I should mention, there's only one lead out wire, so you don't have that weight either. So I am flying this on one lead out line only. You can see that line right here. It is mounted inside the wing to a bolt that is at the location that normally would be the pivot point of the control horn up here in the center of the wing. I did use these adjustable lead outs. This is just a slot cutting the wing tip. There's a piece of 1/8" ply that's set in here with these holes drilled to move this grommet forward or back to move the lead out position. Right now, the balance point of this plane is just in front of this spar. So the lead out is slightly behind the balance point. When I suspend the plane by the lead out, it does hang slightly nose down. My first flight was actually not successful. I had the line break. The line didn't break, a connection broke at the pylon at the center, and the reason for that was that in a loop, my line went slack, and when the line regained tension, it did it so violently that it broke a connection at the center of the circle. I will, in a next video, kind of show you what happened there. But basically, my takeaway from that is it's fairly critical to make sure that you don't lose line tension. You can't back up like you do with the control line plane. And when it does go tight, there's no give like there might be in your shoulder, and the forces are quite high since it's a very sudden stop as the line goes back into tension. What I did to solve that problem is basic control line stuff again. I added some out thrust to the motor. There's a couple of washers back here. You probably can't see them, but they're in there. Probably should have done that in the first place. Also didn't have any wingtip weight. Probably should have done that in the first place. I added a 1/2 ounce of tip weight, and I moved this back a notch to give a little more line tension. So between those items, on the second and third flights, line tension was perfect, had no issues at all. Obviously, if the line goes slack, you don't lose control of the plane, so there's not an issue with that since you've always got radio control. But like I said, I did experience a breakage with a part that probably shouldn't have been in there in the first place. I will be making another video right after this one on the pylon, and I will show you kind of what happened there with that. So that's it for the plane. Any questions, let me know. I'll be posting. Oh, one other thing. So you see I am flying it on a single line here. I'm using a 60-foot line, 0.015 diameter. Normally as a control line plane, this plane would fly on two 60-foot 0.015 diameter lines. I'm using the single line with the thinking being that even with two lines, if you went to say full up elevator, all the tension would be in the one line. So my thinking is it's probably strong enough. And based on what I broke in the first flight and the line was fine, I think that's probably true. Another plus to this is the plane's only dragging one line around, not two. So obviously you've got a lot less drag from that, and that should be a plus as well. Anyway, that's all. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.